Your Excellency, Dr. Asim El Jazza, Minister of Housing, Utilities and Urban Communities, Excellencies, partners and colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to have the opportunity to address all of you at this opening ceremony of the second Arab Land Conference. This milestone event brings together policymakers, stakeholders, and experts in discussions on a subject that is particularly relevant to the Arab region and very close to UN Habitat's approach to sustainable urbanization. We believe that a rights-based approach is the essential ingredient to sustainable urbanization. It informs land governance, protects land and property rights, and ensures the provisions of adequate housing. This is the basis for peace, development, and human rights. This focused discussion will help us advance our efforts to achieve sustainable urbanization with the new urban agenda providing guidance as we all work together to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Please allow me to elaborate why I believe that the question of land is central to our quest for an inclusive, just, and resilient future. The Arab region is 59% urbanized today. By 2050, 70% of the population will live in urban centers. Unfortunately, about a third of these people currently live in undeserved neighborhoods, which affects the quality of their life, increases their exposure to health hazards, and undermines the potential for economic growth and prosperity. Good land management enables adequate planning and urban regenerations and creates space for basic services, urban mobility, and public areas and amenities. We are supporting this effort in Palestine by creating public spaces that are safe and inclusive for women and girls. In Egypt, by advancing inclusive urban mobility, and in many other countries in the region. When people have land tenure security, they invest in their land and they build homes where they raise healthy children and invest in thriving businesses. We want to support your ongoing efforts to ensure that no one is forcibly evicted from their homes and no one lives in houses that are either too expensive, too far from economic opportunities, or structurally unsound. Land is not a mere commodity, but an essential element for the realization of many interconnected human rights. Access to land does not only support people's access to adequate housing and standard of living. In fact, there is a positive correlation between the protection of housing, land and property rights, and access to education, food security, protection from physical hazards. Such fundamental rights also lead to increased participation in public life of both men and women. I am particularly happy to see that a high-level session in this conference is dedicated to women and land. We know that women's access to land and other productive resources is beneficial for a broad range of social, economic, and peace-building goals. When women's land rights are protected, their financial security improves. They are more protected against violence, they are more empowered, and they are better able to participate in decision making. They are also better able to contribute to the economy. This is not only good for women, but also for their children and their families and the society as a whole. In Iraq, UN Habitat and government counterparts ensured that the names of both male and female members of the family are included in land certificates issued during the housing rehabilitation project. This benefited over 23,000 women and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know, land is linked to livelihood, identity, and power. Competition around land and land-based resources lies at the heart of many violent conflicts. Good land governance, mediating and resolving land-related disputes, and the protection of the housing, land, and property rights of all are building blocks for peace. UN Habitat's initiative in Sinjar, Iraq, Darfur, Sudan, and Syria, among others, demonstrate that it is possible to reconstruct homes, rebuild communities, and give hope to people affected by protracted conflict. Good land administration is also important for resilience and the mitigation and adaptation to the devastation caused by climate change. Land tenure security allows communities to invest in the necessary infrastructures that can mitigate various risks. It also enables peoples and governments to plan for the long-term sustainability of settlements, farms, and pastoral lands. This in turn reduces the risk of poverty and helps in the creation of more sustainable and inclusive societies for present and future generations. My dear friends, the Arab region is dealing with the combined effect of climate change, water scarcity, desertifications, and increased population movement. The number of people in need of humanitarian assistance has grown to 50 million, including over 15 million forcibly displaced, and many of whom settle in cities. At UN Habitat, we want to support your efforts to address these unprecedented challenges. We want to help you improve land administration and deploy effective land-based financing mechanisms that will provide a sustainable, locally generated income for governments to invest in better cities for all. We need to work together to ensure that land and land-based resources are well managed and become a source of peace and prosperity for all the people and the communities in the region, ensuring that no place and no one is left behind. I want to commend the many advances made by the countries in the Arab regions in this area over the last years, and to offer the support of UN Habitat for the years to come. Particularly, I would like to recognize the efforts of our host country, Egypt, in advancing the Sustainable Urban Development Agenda through very innovative land interventions. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that sharing our knowledge and expertise, developing new ideas together, and building broad-based coalition of partners will make us successful. The partnerships we have developed and the new connections that will be made during this 3-day event will be very valuable to ensure that Arab countries and their partners will advance as fast as we all hope in achieving sustainable development, peace and stability for the benefit of all. I want to express my deepest gratitude to the government of Egypt for hosting this event. I also want to thank the World Bank, GIZ, SIDA, SDC, and all the partners that make up the Arab Land Initiative for joining hands with UN Habitat to advance the land governance agenda in the Arab region. Thank you.